Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Rapha'Yah, and we are going to go ahead and delve deep into Parashat Bo. This Torah portion is very, very crucial because it talks about a lot of things that perhaps sometimes we oversee when we study the Torah. Here we're going to see a lot of things, how the Creator was able to tell our forefathers that were going out of Egypt, and how Moses was going to instruct them and advise them that there was a prophecy to be fulfilled in him. But nevertheless, as I always stated, what it will be again. There is a format, a pattern in the scriptures that we need to see this, so we can ignore it. We cannot ignore this, so we are very, very aware of it, because he has a lot to do with Mashiach. But before we start off, if you have not subscribed, please do so you can get the latest production. We are in constant work, in constant productions. We are in a lot of music that we are bringing out. I'm just bringing it little by little, but we're bringing out a lot of music, especially Hebrew music. Of course, there is an English version of it, Spanish versions of it, but I'm producing a whole lot of Hebrew music. So, and I call it the Nazarene Israeli Hebrew music. So it's very amazing, very refreshing. It really brings us back to the time of our forefathers, very Middle Eastern. That's the way it's supposed to be. So let's just jump into this Torah portion. As I stated before, please take notes so you can get the most of all these classes. Let's jump into it. This Torah portion, Parashat Bo, which means go, bring us back to Moshe talking to Pharaoh. But look at what it says, chapter 10 verse 1 all the way to 13 verse 16. That's the Torah portion, the Parashat. It's number 15. Yahweh said to Moshe, Bo, go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, that I might show these signs of mine among them. Why did he need it to do that? Very simple, to show the nations how great Yahweh is in his name. We must understand this, brothers and sisters, that we are, especially in this time, the time for us to hang in there. In Hebrew is to have emunah. Emunah is firmness, to be firm. No matter what the outcome, no matter what's going on in the political realm, no matter what's going on in the financial realm, no matter what's going on as far as wars and so forth, we have to put our trust in no man whatsoever but Yahweh, our Creator. It's very a must, because men tend to deceive us in general. And no wonder why the scriptures are very, very clear in chapter 17, verse 5 of Jeremiah, where it says it states very clear, cursed to be a man to put his trust in men. It says very clear, but blessed is the man who all his trust is in Yahweh. Once again, all this brings us back to basics. What is the basics of all this? Having emunah, having firmness. Be firm. Continue your path until the very end, because we're not stopping. We're not stopping at all. We'll continue until the Mashiach comes back, or we simply die. So let's continue. Here, chapter 4 verse 29, Moshe and Aaron went sought and gathered all the elders of the children of Israel. Aaron told all that Yahweh had said to Moshe, who then performed the signs for the people to see. Now let me stop here for a moment. And if we read very, very closely to these two verses, verse 29 and 30, we'll notice something very important, that Moshe is not speaking. Simply because Moshe said himself to Yahweh, I'm very stuttered to speak to these people. They would not listen to me. They would probably laugh at me. And the reason for it is because there is a back story to it. And let's go over, according to the book of Yasher, including the Jewish writings, but the book of Yasher has more weight. It says very clear that the reason why Moshe was stuttered is because when he was a kid, when he was a baby, and he was on the in Pharaoh's quarters, he was nearby the throne of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was sitting on his throne, and it just happened that the crown of Pharaoh was nearby. Moshe, being a baby, grabbed the Pharaoh's crown, grabbed it, and threw it on the ground. Pharaoh was infuriated to the point that he wanted to saw him killed. But the stepmother, the adopted mother, said to his brother, don't kill him. He doesn't know what he's doing. So the advisors told him, well, let's try him if he knows what he's doing. Let's try him with two things. Let's put him hot coals on the left, and the right let's put an amount of gold, and let's see what happens. And it just happened that the baby was put those two things in front of him, and of course the baby knew what he was doing. And when they put those two things on the right, the gold, and the left, the hot coals, then the baby went on to try to grab the gold, but the malach, the angel Gabriel, pushed the arm to grab the hot coals, and the baby grabbed them and threw them on his mouth. From that moment on, baby Moshe, until he grew up, became impediment. He couldn't talk much, and he was not able to elaborate as Aaron did, because he was very eloquent. But Moshe wasn't, because what he has previously happened to him. So that's one of the reasons, that's one of the backstories why Moshe wasn't able to talk the way he's supposed to talk. And that's one of the reasons why Yahweh, before even this verse, Yahweh said, your brother, because Moshe was stating this fact that he was a stutterer. So Yahweh said, your brother Aharon will be your spokesman. And that's what he was. He was a spokesman in this precise situation. He's speaking to the elders. Now, let's make a little parenthesis here real quick, and I don't want to ignore this. Moshe is a format of Yahweh himself bringing his word to us. His word is the spoken word of Yahweh speaking to us through the Mashiach. Mashiach is the living Torah. Mashiach is the one who speaks in behalf of Yahweh. No wonder why we understand now that Yahweh himself is the one who sends the word, sends the Mashiach, and to speak in behalf of Yahweh. No wonder when Mashiach said very clear, all the things that I do them in the behalf of my Father. So, same format, we see Moshe here, his brother is speaking in behalf of him, and ultimately in the behalf of Yahweh. So, let's continue to the next verse. Verse 31, the people believed when they heard, you see that? They believed when they heard that Yahweh had pakut. He will visit or will remember the children of Israel and how they were oppressed. They bow their heads and worship. This is one of the moments, the aha moments. This is one of the moments where we have to understand the aha moment, where we understand that they believe because they heard a key word, a key that their forefathers knew about it, but they kind of forgot. And that word is pakut. Pakut means to remember, to recount, to bring about, to visit. It has a lot of meanings, but this word pakut, it was already predestined even before that, through Yosef, through Yaakov, through Yosef, and then the children of Israel until Moshe. See, the point is that Moshe did not know about this word pakut. This was revealed here in Mount Sinai through Yahweh. Yahweh gave it to Moshe, Moshe gave it to his brother, and his brother gave it to the elders. So when they heard this, they would believe. You see that? They believe because they heard this word that Moshe was the one who would be sent to deliver the children of Israel. But they heard the word pakot. And let me prove it to you because there is so much. Let's look at the next verse. Let's go back into the Genesis of Bereshit chapter 50 verse 24. Joseph said to his brothers, I am dying. But Yahweh will surely visit, the word is pakut, and bring you out of the land that he swore to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. You see that? The word that he uses here to visit is the word pakut. Now let's look another verse. Chapter 3:16. Go gather the elders of Israel and said to them, Are you almighty? Are you Abraham, Yitzhak, and the Yaakov has appeared to me, and I have surely, do you see that? Pakot pakati, which means he visited you and seeing what he has done to you in Egypt. You see that? He's using the word pakot because it was instructed to give this key word for them to believe, to remember what it was passed on through generations. 3:13-19, he uses the word again, pakot. Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him because Joseph had made the children of Israel swear, do you see that? An oath when he said, surely, Ayi Almighty will surely pakot pakati. You see that? She will remember or visit you and will carry my bones with you out of here. Once again, here we see a pattern, a key that was passed on through generations. But this is surely not, it doesn't end here. Let's continue. Look at what continues all the way through the first century with our Mashiach. Chapter 1, verse 667 of the book of Luke. His father, the Rapha'Yah, was filled with the Ruach Kodesh and prophesied, saying, Blessed is Yahweh, the Almighty One of Israel, for he has pakot pakati. Do you see that? Visit his people and open the doors of redemption. How did he open the doors of redemption? Through our Mashiach. You see that? So once again, we see this format over and over and over again, and we see how the Creator is able to fulfill this promise through certain keys, certain words that was passed on from generations to generations. And this key word is pakot pakati. You see this all over the scriptures, but you see this in very precise events. It happened to Yaakov, passed on through to Joseph, then to Moshe, and now it's to Mashiach. Now we see that Mashiach is fulfilling everything until his return. Look at what it says here, 1 Peter 2:12. Have an example of conduct among the nations, so that in the same way that they slander you as wrongdoers, by observing your good works or your good deeds, they may give kabut to the Most High on the day of Pakati. Do you see that? Pakot Pakati is the date of visitation. My question, I know there are dumb questions, but my question to you is, when is the date of visitation? That date is coming. That date is when Mashiach returns. That date is around the corner. A lot of things are being fulfilled to the letter. Is for us to hang in there a little longer, because Mashiach is definitely around the corner, and we must stand strong. One of the things that has amazed me through all these studies of Torah throughout these years is how the Creator is able to fulfill his promises through revelation and also to prophecies. And it's something that a lot of people don't understand a lot, to be honest with you. But when we see all these concepts, then we wonder why. And let me prove it to you in a different pattern. Look, based upon this Torah portion, chapter 12, verse 42, look what it says. It was a night of vigil for Yahweh to bring them out of the land of Egypt. That night continues to be a night of vigil for Yahweh, for the children of Israel, for all, you see that, generations. This night, Pesach, that night is very, very important. It's nothing to be taken lightly, to be honest with you. And I'll prove it to you through the scriptures. There are 4 nights written in the book of memorials before Yahweh. The first night is when he was revealed in the creation of the world. Now, please write down this information, these Torah portions, because they're very, very crucial. When you write it down, you automatically are recording, memorizing in your brain, and this will help you to learn more Torah. Please write it down, all this information. 4 nights to remember. The first one when he revealed himself in the creation of the world. The second night is when the word of Yahweh was revealed to Abraham among the divided parts. And his Mashiach was the one. Do you see that? When Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 99 years old, the second night, that night is the second night, and it just happened that night was the 15th of Abib. The same 15th of Abib is on Pesach in the time of Moshe. You see that? The third night was the word of Yahweh was revealed over the Mizraim in the division of the night. His right hand killed the firstborn of the Mizraimim. His right hand saved the firstborn of Israel, to fulfill what was the scripture said, Israel is my firstborn son, and he called it the third night. There are 3 nights are being fulfilled, and yet there is one more. There is one more, brothers and sisters, that is yet to come, that is coming very, very soon. Let's look. The ninth of fourth, or the fourth night, is when the end of the era is achieved, so that the bands of the wickedness are destroyed and the iron of the yoke is broken. Moshe came out of the midst of the desert, but the King Mashiach comes in from the midst of Rome. The cloud preceded that, and the cloud will go before this, and the word of Yahweh will lift them between them both, and they will proceed together. So this is the night of the Pesach before Yahweh, to be observed and to celebrate by the children of Israel in all their generations, which means still until this very, very end. All this is breaking down to Yahweh fulfills his promise through generations. We're living in the last generation, believe it or not. We're living the last Jubilee, the last Jubel. And contrary to popular belief, we are very near to the end. But we must hang in there. I know there's a lot of things going on around the world, but don't worry about that. It has to be fulfilled like that. Mashiach tells us about it in book of Matthew 24. So we must continue to hang in there, learning Torah, doing our prayers, doing TZEDAKAH, and doing what is necessary according to what Mashiach said, according to the Torah says. If we we do exactly what Mashiach said, we'll be just fine. So once again, all this is just a reminder for ourselves to keep the emunah, to keep the faith. I know they call it faith, but the word is emunah, firmness, to be firm, to keep going, to hang in there until the very end. Let me close with this. We're going to talk a little bit about the Torah calendar. A lot of people don't know much about the times of Yahweh, the calendar of Yahweh. I'm going to talk about a little bit about that. The Torah calendar is based upon the seasons of the year, based upon the solar calendar, the solar cycles. There's nothing to do with the lunar cycle whatsoever. Why? Because the Torah told us and tells us continuously about it. And let's prove it with evidence. I don't like to talk about just yakking, don't bring any evidence. I always love to bring evidence to the table so people will not talk back about it. And if they do, it's because they have nowhere to say it. The only thing that they said is just, or demeanor is basically to get upset instead of search. Let's continue. Chapter 12, verse 6. They will set them apart until the 14th date of this month. Then the whole congregation of the children of Israel will kill him between the 2 evenings. My question to you is, when is the 2 evenings? The 2 evenings is called the twilight. In Hebrew is Erev. Erev means afternoon or dusk, which is around 3 p.m. Let's continue. 9 verse 5. Let's bring more evidence. So they observed Passover, Pesach, at twilight on the 14th of the month in the desert of Sinai. The children of Israel acted according to everything that Yahweh have commanded Moshe. Now, if we see the 2 verses just now, the first one is when they were in Egypt. Here is a year later. A year later, they are in the desert. The scripture is very simple, very clear. They were in the desert of the Sinai. They performed Pesach in the 14th of Aviv at twilight. Let's break it down what perform the Pesach is. And let me show you with graphics so you understand what time it is, or what time was it. Here is still daytime, okay? At 3 p.m. is still daytime on the date of 14th of Aviv. The 14th of Aviv, there are two evenings, so you understand what I'm saying. The first evening, the first afternoon, so you understand, is at 12 noon. From 12 noon is the first one, from 1 to 3. 3 to 6, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. is the second evening. Between those 2 evenings are the twilight. Right here, the preparation is called Pesach. Now, the question is, what is the preparation? Because if we go back, it says they performed the Passover at twilight, the Passover. The question is, what is that? What is the preparation? The preparation was the shechitah. The shechitah is when they kill the Passover, then when they kill the lamb. That's exactly what is called the Passover. They kill the lamb, they prepare. That's what is called the preparation, because they have about a window of 3 hours, from 3 to 6, before the sunset, to prepare the animal, to roast it. Okay, let's go back to the graphic. So here, after the preparation between 3 and 6, they kill the Passover at 3. They prepare 3 hours to prepare, to roast it. And then after the sun down, is not the 14 anymore. It's already the 15. Let me stop here for a moment. You have to understand that the Hebrew concept of every day counting or reckoning is from sundown to sundown. How do we know that? Because it's from the very beginning of creation. Yahweh tells us that every day works like that. Sunset to sunset, evening to evening. If you go to the whole chapter of 1 of Bereshit or Genesis, Yahweh says it was the evening and the day, the first day. It doesn't say the day and the evening. Is backwards. We are backwards. The scriptures is right. Evening to date is the first day. Here we see that after dusk, after sunset, is already the next day, which in this case is the 15th. So after the sunset, it comes the dinner. That's where the Seder is, the Seder of Pesach. The Seder of Pesach is the time where you actually do the Seder and also eat the dinner, the lamb. In the time of our forefathers, that's how they did it, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way we do it today. When they do the Seder, that's the way we do it. But once again, we have to understand the times that Yahweh speaks about. Real quick, just going to bring about something that I cannot ignore, but I have to bring it to light, because if what I don't do, I'm not doing my work. I'm not doing my job on bringing out the truth. Control the calendar, control Judaism, and it's been going on for years. It's something that we have to understand when it comes to Judaism. It is controlled by the calendar, and as I stated here, control the calendar, control Judaism. 99.9% of Jews are going about the lunar calendar. The manipulation of the calendar works like this, and I'll bring about. Look at what it says in chapter 12, verse 2 of the Torah, and I'm just going to, is already translated, Chadash, which means renewal will be for you. The Chodashim Rishon, which is the beginning of the month, it will be for you. Lechodesh Hashanah, it will be for you for the first month of the year. This is what is translated from the Hebrew to English. Please look it up in the Hebrew. You'll see I'm just translating it to you and giving you the right meaning. Every year is renewal. Every year renews a new cycle of a year. Every year is renewal. It's just like every day. Every day renews, sunset to sunset. Every day the sun rises, sun dusk, and it continues every year to the whole cycle of the whole year, 365 days out of the whole year. So we are not adding, we're not taking, we're just stating the facts. Yahweh is telling us there is a sign in this very beginning of the year, and this ot in Hebrew is the tekufah. This tekufah in Hebrew is the equinox, what is translated to it. This equinox happens twice a year. The first one is the Abib, the spring equinox, and the second is the fall or autumn equinox. Two markers that tell us exactly what's going on throughout the entire year. The word Chodesh is translated as month, renewals, you see that? But also, the wise men and the scholars added this, a new moon. This was never, whatever you see unread, was never, ever, ever in the originals. This was added on later. It's not what it means. It doesn't mean new month. New month, for example, Rosh Chodesh means new month or renewal of the month or head of the month. New moon doesn't mean Rosh Chodesh. New moon means Rosh Yereach. You will never, ever, ever, ever will see this terminology in the Torah at all, ever. Why? Because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist whatsoever. It was added and was made up by rabbinical jurisdiction, by our rabbis. Okay? So we have to be very, very careful. The root of Chodesh is Chadash. Renew, to rejuvenate, to be new, to rebuild. You see that? That's one of the reasons why you heard this terminology, those believers of Mashiach, is the Berit Chadasha. Right? The Berit Chadasha, which means the renewal covenant, right? renewal covenant means Berit Chadashah. This Berit Chadashah is the one that you hear in the New Testament, what they call it, but Chadash comes from the word Chodesh. Okay, so let's continue. The word Yereach, you see that? It means moon. Totally different from Chadash, from Chodesh. See that? Completely different. Now, I'm going to close with this. And please write it down and look for it. Google it if you want. And you will see that I'm not making this up. The Babylonian calendar are the following months: Nisanu, Airu, Simanu, Duzu, Abu, Ululu, Tashritu, Arazamnu, Kishlinu, Tebetu, Shabatu, Adaru. These are the 12 months, but they have 13, which is Be'adar. Now, the Jewish calendar is pretty much the same as is basically the same. It was just adopted by our Jewish brothers in Babylon. Nisan, Iyar, Siban, Tammuz, Ab, Elul, Tishri, Shesban, Kislev, Tebet, Shabbat, Adar, or Adari was added as an intercalary month as needed. Now, all this is to bring about that perhaps they being and still following traditions of the nations. We have to be careful. We have to abide by the Torah, not by men. I'll close it with this. I hope this was helpful and to give us an instant reminder of how to study the scriptures in the right way, not in the wrong way, so we can know the truth. And as the Mashiach said, the truth will set us free. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We'll see you next time. Please, if you have not subscribed, please do so. If you want to give a tzedakah or a charity or a donation, the link is all the way down. There is a lot of music. The link is below as well. Thank you so much. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We'll see you next time.
To our channel and give us a like. Thank you. We'll begin.
Toda Rabba. If you like this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. There's more content in production. Thank you.